Hello, friends. So, let us talk about HMI in software engineering. You know, or you might be knowing the concepts of software engineering till now, or have you undergone through any such thing that you have encountered software engineering activities or software engineering principles during a project or during your mini project process? Yes. So now, at this stage of human machine interaction, how does your software engineering plays a role over here? Not actually the software engineering role, but it includes the concept, it includes the activities. Because in the end, the ultimate, we are designing an interacting system. In software engineering, what what is the outcome of your product? You design a product according to the customer needs, correct? So now, before studying our process, our software engineering process that is included or involved in HMI, let us see first what are the human considerations to be made while developing an interactive system. Now, I will just name about the interactive system. I'm not going to talk about the product, how the role it's played or how it's designed. No. First, basically, we'll talk about what are the human considerations. That means how will you build? No, not how, but what will you build depending on the customer user first. Second, you need to look into the features. What features is the customer or the user is very much used your handheld devices or your product like interactive system like it's a mobile phone, laptop, your tab, if the user is much highly qualified for this, does user know what is the technical problem or the technical solutions? No, we are not aware of all these things. Currently, if I built my product, if I built my interactive system, what features I will look into? So first thing, so the user task and need. First thing is about the user task. That means it's according to the user, the first thing. And the second is what the user wants. I won't develop what the user wants without the user expectations. Correct. So first I'll talk to the user. It's like the same activities involved. So we will look into this. The first we'll see this, then second we'll go into the software engineering concept. Then mandatory and discretionary use. So what are the things that user will look into? What will user want compulsorily? He want or she want this. Now, if I talk about my mobile phone, okay, that is my interactive systems. So if you ask me what do I want? Yes, I want certain like a YouTube. I want social media apps to be there. I want it should be very easy for me to perform my operations, to manipulate it. I don't want such heavy things like I'm searching where is my Adobe Reader or where is my YouTube. No, they're all they are all uniformly arranged. Okay, that is not my moderation. But is these applications are there or I have to download it? What are my predefined application are installed? Okay, what is the weight or what is the price of my phone? Do I find it difficult to use it? Is it touch screen or is it keypad? And so on. So these type of questions come up, rise up, and they need to be answered. Then the frequency of use. That means this technical thing, this device which you're going to develop. Oh, this is about the history. If we talk about how many times have user used this and interactive, it's like you are, for example, you are filling a form for your exam, suppose gate exam, and so frequently you have visited the gate site so as to know that what are the documents to be required, what are information you need to fill. Do you attach these documents currently with this form or you have to take the printout of the form, scan the form, take the printout again? So what actually what you need? So frequently you visit that site, so that means frequency of use. That also you need to understand or predict that how many times a user will visit that site, what will the user wants, is the user got addressed with her or his answers or not. Then the task or need importance. So what task does user wants, what is the need, what is the importance of this interactive system. Now, in fact, if I talk about the interactive systems, when I think of developing one, so what criteria I will say, I will just say what age groups people will use, what kind sort of people are going to use, what they take interest nowadays, what is the trending. So I will look into this feature. I through this first and foremost for whom I'm developing. Then second is for whom I for who will use this, for whom, for who will use this, how, when, where. So all this is a track structure. This task is being divided or collaborated into certain manner. Then you have a social interactions. You need to understand when you, in case if you need meet people, you ask them certain questions, what they want, how they want exactly. Then yes, you have a primary training. Yes, before you actually working of the device, the people who's going to use, make them go through the training, or you are perform certain training, certain things to understand how the system will work, how the system is used. Then the turnover rate which will depend on the corporates or the firm in which you are working. So in this turnover rate, it will give you the value that how much was the turnover, how much the company was able to make profit. Yes, you will think, ma'am, it's a technical, so why there is need of management? See, in the end, the management comes because there's a contract basis. People, the employees are there. Then they have like contract. What contract should they draft, and what are the specifications like the forms, the documentation. So all these parts of the are done by the management. Then we have a job category like what type of people are working and what their role is, and the lifestyle, of course, what the lifestyle they're living. So this is about the human consideration. So later part we'll see about user psychological first is psychological characteristics and user physical characteristics. Now normally what I talk about, that was the prior things that you need to take into considerations while building up your interactive systems. But now you need to think in a psychological way. Okay, now see, when you're developing, you not need to think about yourself. Ki, oh, you have given the guidelines, you have given the form, this is your form, this is your paper, that what accordingly what needs to be built, and you start working on it. No, it's not that. When you actually think of it, you need to think about the user perspectives, and these are the listed. What I have listed in this presentation currently, it's according to the user perspectives. You are not going to do anything. You are just going to make an interactive according to the user, think like a user, behave like a user, and do it. You don't need your own thing. I will do this, user will like it. No, you don't need to make any decision until user accepts that. Okay. So first and foremost is attitude and motivation. So nowadays, we have little we are motivated by looking at inspiring things, reading by inspiring stories, and so on. But what is the attitude and motivation to use your system? Yes, because suppose your system is based on entertaining, so you, if it is like paid, so it has a minimal amount to pay, and user can have an entertainment anytime, any day, and it's a new one, trending one. Currently it's like what you watch on your phone, like Hotstar, Netflix, and so on. So if you think you are building like entertaining app or interactive device for the user, so you will just think attitude and motivation, that what could be the attitude of the user, will user like it, or you will think ki, oh, user left me with a negative comment. So see, there will be a positive comments and there will be a negative comments. So often work with the negative comments because they give a chance to improve it. They enhance our versions, not version, but they enhance our thinking, like okay, if they want certain humor stories, they want certain humor short stories or animated series for the kids. Okay, I will include this. So you will make an attempt, or you will make an resource in such a way that all these stories gets into it. Correct. So that is your attitude. That means you be in a positive attitude, that even to user left you with negative comment, you started working it and you started making it more better and more conveniently, so many people could use it, right? Then the patience. So nowadays, so many people don't have don't, I won't say don't, but I will say they have a very less patience. Then they have patience in actually how they play. That is your system. When I click suppose on a humor episode, like humor series, so if I double click on it, while double clicking, will I get that immediately, or it's taking a very slow process? It's giving me a slow response. So that is means it's a patience, that how much the patience can your user have, whether user will sit for a long or user will quit, close and move into another one. Then you have a stress level. See, certain things, like if the nowadays, since they what actually is going on, or some peoples are really they are very health, by the health are affected. Normally many people have diabetes, they have a high cholesterol, so the stress level goes on. So in if they find it certain not interested in your site, or your site is like, what this type of device they have built, it's not working, I will return back, I will write a customer complaint. So this increases the stress level. Then you have the stress level, that it could affect their health, it could affect their eyesight. So you make sure that when you build an interactive system, it should not affect the eyesight or the postures or giving them the negative command. The stress level should be very low. And the expectations, like what I expect to be and what it came out, that two different levels. So normally what happens is, if I built an interactive system and if I show to you, oh see, look at this my interaction system, how does it look, will you able to work for it? Okay, you will agree, yes, yes, you are working, it's very nice, you leave the comment. But later on, I find that it's according not what you expected. It happens many times that people even left positive comment, they will again say this, oh this device is not working. Like I purchased one device, for example, say I purchased a phone. So when I bought the cell phone, I thought, oh, it's very nice. It's a touch screen. It's a waterproof. One advantages. But later on, later, to after few years, I realized that phone is giving me very not good performance, very slow performance. The resources, I mean, what I downloaded, what I stored in the memory, my memory is not enough to keep or to hold all other things. So that means it's giving me like, I will leave a negative comment, like what after 2 years, what happened to this? Why there is no updates of the applications? Why my phone is not working? Why it's getting hang again and again? I have to restart this. I'm doing my work and I mean it gets distorted and so on. So these expectations left by the people, I mean, so certain expectations we meet, certain expectations we cannot meet. So we always work with the expectations level. Then the cognitive style, like a thinking style. What I think is not you will think. Our thinking, everyone thinking are the unique in the world. Not every person are same. Similarly, not thinking are the same. Thinking is a unique thing in the world. So my thinking and your thinking will not match. So I will not, in fact, I will not develop this system according to you. I will develop to whom? To the user. So I will think accordingly like a user. So I will apply cognitive skills of the users. Now you have the user physical characteristics. These were the psychological, what user thinks. So I don't want you to like think about study about the psychological and all. No, these are the few skills that we need to understand before we develop our system, because after all this is according to the customer expectations. And remember, in the software engineering, the user expectation is given as most highest priority. So according to the system, according to the user needs, the system is built in the same with HCI, in a human computer interface or human machine interface. both they develop according to the user interface. Now, next is the user physical characteristics. Then we have user physical characteristics is about the age, then age classification. See about the age, that means is this about whom I am developing for this for the system? Am I developing for a nursery kid, for a 10th standard kid, or for adults, or for senior citizens, or for after senior citizen the old people? No, I have made a criteria that who going to use this system, right? Certainly I will not look into the matter like, oh, the old peoples are not able to use it. I will just say, because if this is an educational site, so everyone can access. But if this is like educational, okay, anyone can access. But if educational, for whom? For the preschooler, for the schools from the first, I mean kindergartens, or for the school junior schools, or for mid high school, or I mean colleges, for whom we need this. So what happens is, when I've developed this system accordingly, so I need to define my age classification, that yes, actually I should not mention it on my site, on my interactive device, but I have to build in such a way that everyone can use it. Nowadays you say that even a 4-year-old kid can use a cell phone. They know how to operate it, how to manipulate it, which apps to log in. So this device, because this is so attractive that everyone is attracted. Then the vision, are you able to say it properly? Yes. Okay. Is there any color that is bothering you? The later section will talk about how the colors can affect our eyes, how text can make us annoyed, and so on. So, vision, hearing, cognitive processing, is these all able to work when I'm browsing my interactive device, or when I'm holding my working on an interactive device, and so on. Then handedness, like, is it easy to handle, is it portable, or is it heavy to carry? Like laptop is somewhat like every time I can carry, it's okay, no problem with that. But easy to carry is much more my cell phone. And disabilities, like who persons are using it. Even now there are many interactive devices for the disabilities also. Next, now human interaction speed. So accordingly, that we have seen the features. Now interaction speed, so we have reading speed, we have listening, speaking, and keying. So reading is like in the United States, accordingly the reading speeds in the order of 250 to 300 per words. Then we have proofreading text on a paper, that to occur about 200 words per minute. Now words can be comfortably heard and understood at the rate of 150 to 160 words per minute. So this is a reading and listening, that how much we can understand per minute, and how we can listen. We can listen from far away also, even close by also. And speaking, are speaking, how many words we can speak per minute. Again, all this is classified, or the values of these features are being classified into words per minute. So speech recognizer miscognitions often occur, like misrecognitions or error can often occur. And key means how fast you can type. So either you can type slow if you're very naive, or it's just like me. If the people are like me, I will okay, I will able to type it, but I will type it using one hand. But mostly you students, you use your two hands and you type it so fast, rapidly, because you are used to it. Sometimes I need to search, oh, where is my Q key, where is my A key, and so on. But nowadays the typing is also making a progress, like keying is also making a progress. Then we have the process. Okay, now what is the process of actually of your um, devices, of your interactive devices? Now see, the system that has been designed and built, it's only when it is proof unusable to they think how to do it right. Like, okay, now I have now suppose I have built an interactive system, okay, according to the user need. But since the user came to me and complete like my device, peoples are not responding much like what I have thought. So how should I make it right? What should I do to fix it? So then I need to think. So that thinking is my requirement stage, can I say? Yes, that what we should do to make our system enhance and more people can use it. More and more people can conveniently use this system. So first stage is establishing what exactly is needed. So there is a market survey through research or through online thing. Market survey is done by every product, even your from your cosmetic, from your toys, everyone does a market research. So usually it is necessary to find what is currently happening. Now, even if I want to build a small, okay, let us talk something creative. If I want to build a small handheld device, suppose. So what is currently happening? So with this mobile as an interactive device, will people will able to use this nowadays? Okay, small if I'm talking, so there is a watch also. And in I'm to my surprise, I saw that day that watch also had a WhatsApp, text message, calling, how much I walk, the physical fitness app, and everything installed on the watch. I just thought, what is the need of the watch? Now I came to know why there is need of watch, because nowadays who is going to carry that big cell phone? So it's better to have watch and just see who has beeping you, who has left you message, and so on. So this is the way you need to think, like what need to be done. Now when you do your final year project, so you first think about, you choose one domain, okay. So in that domain you choose one topic to do it. So you when you research those topic, when you research areas, what was happening, what happened, and what you want to do it. So this process is first your requirement collection. So there is certain number of process, we'll see the later part. Then the analysis, like, okay, you analysis in what form? Like you interview the people, you meet the people, you talk about it. Then you find out the key issues, that what happened, why people are not using this, why they are using this app, and so on. Okay, we will, since it is 7:30, so first we will move in HMI and software process. Later we talk about the interactive devices, because we always lag behind and we never complete our main topic. First, let me complete this and we'll go back to our main topic, because all these topics are connected to it. And since this subject is little lengthy, so you always think about a practical view. You will find like it is a very theoretical, it is like a sort of theory subjects are lengthy, but always try to find the practical thing, like what actually the author want to say, why do we have this subject. Because this is one thing to innovative or creative skill to build up an interactive. And always whenever I talk about this subject, what you mean by an interactive? Is this we have a interactive sessions? Currently we are not, because I'm just talking and you are listening. Even if you communicate, so this is two-way communication, it can be an interactive system. Yes. Okay, so let's not waste our time and move ahead. Now we have a software lifecycle. Okay, now here we are in software engineering section. Now, what happens in a software engineering? What happens? All of you are aware of software engineering process, software engineering activity. So, what exactly you mean by software engineering? So, software life cycle, which describe the activity that takes place from the initial concept formation for the software system until its evaluation process, till evaluation or enhanced process. Okay, so software lifecycle is an attempt to identify the activities. Okay, currently I will talk about only the software. Software development. So in your software development, there are certain activities are involved to develop your process, your product. Sorry, not process. So to develop the product, you need to go through certain process in that activity. Now this activity, then with the help of the audit in time. See, the audit in time means deadline or your timeline. Either deadline. See, I think R.S. Pressman, Roger Pressman had used the word deadline, and other author, I don't remember now the author, but they have used the timeline. So this activity must be ordered in time in a development of project. Normally, when you complete this activity, they have certain deadline to cover it, and appropriate technique is used to do it. Every activity has its tool. They have to go through the testing, and then only they go for the next process. So we have two parties, that means the product and the use of the product, that means user and the designer. See, the user and designer can be the same person, or user and designer both may be the different person. If I am the user, you would be the designer. I may be the designer, you would be the user. Or I may be the user designer, you would be the user designer. See how probability is. I have just counted. So it is most often it is most often that important to distinguish between the customer who is client designing and the customer who is eventually use the system. So if I develop an interactive system for your use, you have appeared for your online examination anyway, like in your 12th standard or in your CET. You just saw, okay, that time you were just small, so you didn't have those checking, oh, kya, isme kya hai, what I need to see, which button is to click, which site to go. No, you have to sit there and just choose an option and click for next and next. So that was not an interactive system, that was just giving your answers, right? So what is your interactive system, by the way? Okay, when I click something and that dialog box open up, correct, and they ask me what do you want to browse. If I say I want to browse books, so they will give me the list of books. Then I will click. So okay, you want to browse this, okay, so they will give me the list of books. Like I want to read fictional books, again click on the fictional book list, and they will give you the list of all those fictional books that are available at their rack or their shelf, right? So this one activity I just to mention you, that was an for the interactive system, right? So that means how they have made according what the user needs. So if I may be the developer, a designer, or I may be the user, both the roles I'm playing, but I have to keep in mind what is the need in the market. Why do people need this? The very first thing. And suddenly it's not like that. Just I'm doing it. I'm doing because people wants this, I'll get money. No, money is the latter part. But right now, currently, I have to think about why do I need this system, and how do my system will be more beneficial to the people, because I'm the designer, I'm the user. Then activities in the life cycle. So let us talk about the what activities do we have. Now up till now I hope that you have understood what was the software life cycle, how they played role in HMI. Okay, so next is requirement specifications. And should I say that requirement specification term is very clear to you, that what is the requirement specification is exactly, or exactly what it's supposed to be. uh, when user comes to you, when user comes or meet you about the product which is to be developed, you take a pen and paper or write down, or you make or open your Excel worksheet and write what the user wants, correct? So user wants that communication can happen in like in a form of meeting, or in form of face to face, in form of diagramming, representative, and so on. So there are certain ways, certain technique to collect the requirement specification. They and later turns into a technical requirement by the documentation process. Okay, so let's not get into the technical way in your software engineering. We just need to cover up this topic, otherwise we'll go deep inside. But how to collect and what are the 7 steps, no, we don't want to go into that. We don't want to involve in such details. We just want to understand a requirement specification. So requirement specification begins at the start of your product development, correct? Then the architectural design. But do you think we have missed something? So architectural design, after requirement specification comes your modeling, correct? So modeling has two steps, okay? That is analysis and design, right? So architectural design is fits. That means that entire structure design. How does your interactive system will work, or how does it it will look like, right? um, yes if you have studied this software engineering, you might have taken the example of like a floor plan, like where the pipe has to build, where the kitchen has to be built, or where are the rooms connected, is the hall and the kitchen to be connected. So there's a floor plan, like exactly same way we document or we draw a design in such a way that how does a software will look. But the civil engineering, they look like, okay, they make a building and they look like what they have built in the blueprint plan, correct? But what we have drawn in a software, we cannot say, because we have coded the actual product, and the product we see later by inputting and getting the output. Okay, then in the architectural design, but in the requirement, let me tell you one thing. I missed one point, that we have the functional requirement and non-functional requirement. Okay, there are two types of the requirements is collected, but in the while making the documentation of the requirement, like SRS, preparing the software requirement specification, the first thing, if you remember, so that time you mentioned your non-functional and functional. Currently, when you talk about the user will don't know what is non-functional. Why the requirement manager is asking me to note down, or why does he want? No, that is not included when you communicate with your customer. Okay, this architectural diagram will have the product which is to be either it is already done. You can choose few codes, few parts, or that is components. Currently in architectural, we talk about highly decomposition of a components. That means it breaks or it divides into few pieces. The components are divided. Okay, so they can have some components. Now if this components is already been created into some project, I can pick up those components, I can reuse. So this is the concept of reuse. Or I have to prepare from the scratch, I have to do it again from the functional requirement of the system. So but do not provide an immediate way to capture other non-functional features, or it does not way to capture other non-functional requirements, that means features of the system. Then I have a detailed design. So detailed design is another refinements, that was okay, my entire structure is built. Now decompose it more, break into more, because that entire structure will be broken into some more pieces, right? Then I have detailed design is a refinement of a component description provided by architectural design. So the behavior is implied by the high level description and must be preserved into more detailed description. That means again this high level is being brought into a small one, broken into a small one, and choosing which refinement, again they are refined. So every time they will filter refine into, like, no, okay, remove this module, pick a choose the another module, take the another module. See, design is just not an hour work or just a second's work. It will require certain days, or a number of days can be increased. Your deadline can also be extended because of this. So choosing the best refinement is often a matter of trying to satisfy as well as many non-functional requirement of the system. Then you have next is coding and unit testing. Okay, the since we are ready with my documentation, what documentation, I'm ready with my architecture. Now let's start to code. So the designer team will hand over all this design to the implementation team, and the implementation team, the coder team, will start coding and they will start working on it. Later, after coding, they will perform the unit test, or the testing teams will be summoned, they will be called, and they will be asked for, come on, we finish with the we finish with the implementation, please test this code, and bus vice versa. But okay, they need to go back or they will move forward, that depends on what type of model we are using. This was a generic model we use. I've not include any like waterfall model or spiral model or any other agile modeling, nothing. It is just a few activities that I have picked up and I'm explaining you. Then you have later, after coding the component, okay, this is tested, right? Now integration and testing. Now what happens is, why we need to do integration and testing is because what happens is they are certain groups who has done the different types of implementation, right? Team A has done module A, team B has done module B, team C has done module C. So I need to integrate module A, module B and module C together. So that therefore I need to integrate and put them on tests, whether after integration, whether they are working as expected by customer, or they are certain errors they are still propagating from model to model, right? For the last, I don't know if you heard about my last lecture in software testing. I've explained you about the integration testing. Now it is also possible at the time to perform some acceptance testing. Yes, acceptance testing is done at the user side by the user member, so that they would understand whether what they expected the system is accordingly built or not. So to give the feedback whether the user has passed the whether the system has passed the acceptance testing or not. Then later we have the which process maintenance. Yes, why do we have a maintenance process? Why do you think you get the updates of every time, like your WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, and so on, Twitter, LinkedIn? Why do you think you need updates? Why? Because now every time they enhance the feature. If you see, currently when I was using the WhatsApp, I just pinged the search button. I started using search button and I saw that they have given the symbols like share and media, gallery, and so on. So I thought, I mean, how enhanced this app has become. So maintenance is always in the process to enhance the application, to enhance your system, to make it much more better, to make it more trending one, you can say. Because see what happens, once I deliver the system, it doesn't mean my work is ended. I can, after again the software development process, I will find, oh, the user needs to be updated. I will release one patch, I will release one build. That means I will release them in such a way that the user will get notified that yes, the app needs to be updated, and they will update their app. That means the patch what I have released is installed on their phone, and they will work with enhanced one, with more mod, but much better app. Correct. Now validation and verifications. Now why do you need this verification and validation and verifications? Okay, verification, there are two definitions mainly. That means, are we build the right product, or are we build product right? Okay, so that means, are we accordingly, have we built up the products according to the customer needs? Sorry. And have we built up how the customer wanted us to make the model, make the system. Okay, so verification of a design will most often occur within a single life activity or between the two adjacent activity. Verification, yes. Then validation of this design demonstrates that within the various activities, the customer requirements are satisfied. This, for each and every activities, the validation has to be done. So to know that, validate the requirements, validate to design that's accordingly to customer you built or not. Next, we have management and contractual issues. That means, what now comes against the management part. So why do you think we need this? Why? It's because since we can see the requirements from a system precede that high level structural design, which precedes the detailed design, and so on. So they're connected, like high level architecture design precedes by the detailed design, and then the low level design, and so on. So a phase is usually identified. So every phase has a documentation, whether they are carrying the design work, whether they are carrying the implementation or testing or maintenance. So every activities has certain documentations, and every people who are working into it, they had certain contracts with the company, with the firm, and so on. So these signed documents can carry a very degree of contractual. So everyone who are employed, they have a contract or they have signed up to this company and they work under these activities between the customer and design. So a signed requirements indicate that the customer agreed to limit the demand of the eventual product to those who listed in the specifications. Then, a satisfactory requirement specification may not be known until after the product has been in operations. Okay, this part is quite tricky because uh, we have we does not know whether our product is working well or whether we need to make changes, because until and unless the product is deployed to the customer and the customer give us the feedback, we'll not be satisfied with the work. A satisfactory requirement specification. So lastly, we'll make a one document, one documentation, that is the job. Till now we finish with the job. Next, we have interactive. Okay, we finish with the software engineering process. Now we have interactive system and software lifecycle. Now the time has come to club together like interactive system and the software engineering. Can you club? Yes, we can. The software, the interactive design can be clubbed into the software engineering process through the activities like the requirements user want to include windows option menu. After reading this subject and after reading software engineering, you can easily map these subjects with software engineering points. Now I've given one example, like in the batch processing system, the actual design process is iterative. See, every process in the activities is iterative. Iterative is again and again. It follows again and again because in this there is no like done in a second, in an hour. It takes some days, some time. It requires some time. So it if something happens, if some mistake or error is happening, you have to go back again. So that's why nobody uses the waterfall model. Of course, it's an obsolete one. Work is one design. I think you people use this waterfall model. It's because like once you finish your designing, you go to the implementation. Because once you started implementing, you will know not go back and you will change your design or requirements. If suppose if one of the module is not working, you will change your requirements, isn't it? Then again change everything. So normally we don't follow waterfall model. That's the obsolete one. Then in the batch process systems, the actual design process is iterative. Okay, as I explained, that means work is continuously is ongoing activity is ongoing. So work in one design activity affects another activity before or after in the cycle. Of course, if suppose I'm designing a product from the customer A has suppose they are multiple products. I'm working like agile modeling. In fact, if I finish with customer A designing, there's an ongoing process. Like I got the customer B designing, so I have to design customer B uh, product. Okay, so I'm doing the interactive design of the customer B. I'm just placing the icons through the software. Okay, but somehow the implementation team notifies me there is certain changes I need to make in the design because the requirement has changed and ultimately my design will change. So this is the agile, this is the interactive system. So this is the agile process. This happens like even if I'm finished with the customer's work, one customer, another customer jobs can come in between because the changes are iterative in nature. Next, we have iterative system and software lifecycle. Then the life cycle for development we describe above presents a process of designing in somewhat pipeline order. Okay, this is about the pipeline order, but we never follows the pipeline order work actually, because pipeline is just like we finish what I said about waterfall. But pipeline is, you remember your pipeline in computer organizations like read, fetch, and write. I guess I hope I remember this. So it cannot be actually practically we cannot do in a pipeline process like we finished first and then we take the next customer. No, it's an ongoing process. We finish with the first, when we take another customer's work actually in practically In case if the customer A requirements has changed, again I have to change the design. So I have to stop customer B work, I have to attend the customer A because that is highest priority. So according to the prioritized or priority given, I have to do my job. Correct. So now next is the result. The result is that system must be built and interaction with the user observed and evaluated in order to determine how to make them more usable. Of course, that means the interaction system which must be built and interaction with the user is observed. That means I will observe that how many of them has viewed. I will not put like camera and all that who has used and who has faced the problem. Then I will evaluate that what went wrong and accordingly I will correct it. No, this is not the process. I will what I'll do is the result of this system that has to be built and interaction with the user is observed and it's evaluated to make it more usable, to make it more consumable. So one principal approach is of the interactive system design is about the clear understanding on the design of the task that user wishes to perform. Is that everything, every sort of work you do, you should have the clear understanding that what needs to be done. If you take about the user requirements and when you draw actual the diagrams, you have a structural diagrams, you have a behavioral diagrams. When you plot the diagrams using the software, you need to have the clear understanding what actually he or she wishes to perform. So the final point about the traditional software lifecycle, traditional is about the waterfall, does not promote the user of notations and technique that does support of user perspective interactive system. That means it is somewhat you will find this is more technical. Yes, you need to understand those technical words, but these have a simple meaning that traditional software does not allow us to do more and more changes or to be a more and more iterative, even though in the between the phases like the earlier point, between the phases any maybe any activity can occur, the activity can repeat itself between the phases. Okay, so we need not to be like distracted, I didn't finish that, I have to first finish. No, so we should think about the agile, like agile. When you are doing it and in the middle of you got a customer A module and you need to work it, do it because that is highest priority. So this is practically important, like what work is more important to you. Then the same holds SSC time. Okay, you have to work within the deadline. The deadline is the most important factor because otherwise the work will keep on going and going. This is ongoing process. So the same holds for the assessing the time behavior. Okay, that's what I said about the deadline. Now next is about the engineering, usability engineering. Now usability engineering refers to the user of the system. So the software lifecycle of this important feature of usability engineering is that usability specification forming part of the required specification and concentrates on the feature of the user system. So this means usability engineering is all about the user. So this means that usability in which it's explicitly usability requirements are used as a goal of the design process. Now, the worst case value is the lowest acceptable measurement for the task, providing a clear distinction between what will be acceptable and what will unacceptable in the final product. Okay, so the worst case value. Okay, so what happens is that there is a measuring concept, the attribute. There is an attribute like which makes the abstract attribute more concrete. Now we don't know what would be the final product look like, how does will it work, because all we think of we imagine of, correct. So what happens is there is a measurement attribute, that is measuring concept, which makes the abstract attribute more concrete. So and when it comes to the actual product, we need to define it because the abstract and the actual, they have both different concepts. Now what happens is that in relation of software lifecycle, one of the important feature of usability engineering is the illusion of the usability specification forming the part of the requirement specification. See, the usability engineering talks about the user because user is user centered approach. So how the user will able to do it? first developing the code, fixing the problems, then we have the feedbacks between the stages, prototypes. Of course, we use the prototypes and then reusing the software. All these things goes into usability engineering because first and foremost, the user focus, that how the user will do it, what the user wants, is this according to the user, because this is user centered approach, this is mainly focused on user. That is why it is about a usability engineering. So this system, while doing this, we have to think like a user, what the user wants, what is this the visible, if I use a wimp, or if I use my mouse clicks, or if I use my keyboard, and so on. So what this process is, what how the process would be used, how this interactive system should communicate with the user, and so on. Then mainly the problem faced with the usability engineering is, so what are the problem? Let's see. The major feature of usability engineering is the assertion of explicit usability metrics early on in the decision process, which can be used to judge a system once it delivered. So, what happens is the explicit usability metrics on the design process. We think lots of things like user want this, let's do this, let's give them text box, let's give them a link, let's give them this color, and so on. But when the time to deliver it, when the time to implement the system at the user place and let the user use it, when they give their feedback, the comments, that time we know what happened and what they wanted. Now, the problem with the usability metrics rely on the measurement of very specific user action. Like, I don't want this mouse. I don't want the click. Okay, I just want to use only keyboard. So there should be a facility to use my keyboard than the mouse. So your designer should provide me this thing if I give you the remark. Then we have next is again with the problem with the usability engineering is the major feature of usability engineering is the assertion of the explicit usability metrics early on in the design process, which can be used to judge a system once it is delivered. Okay, that's same. Then okay, when the designer knows what the action and situation will be, then she can set goals for the measured observation. So I know what my actions is. I understand that what I have to do. Correct. Action and situations. Like if I'm designing something for preschooler, so what I'll do, I will make some attractive things. I will put some multimedia like little songs, nursery rhyme. Then I will put some graphics which will make the preschooler to uh, be more, have the smile on their face. They will jump after seeing this if I think like this, and I do it. But later when I implemented this system, like the preschooler when saw this, I got the reaction like, oh, they are not smiling, they are not doing it. So then again I have to rework on it, what things I can include. So these features, these measurements can, you will draw the conclusion at the end. Then the problem with the usability metrics is that they rely on the measurements of every user actions in a specific situation. That is, it's user friendly, that it's a user is able to use it, feasible to use, user feasibility, and so on. There are certain metrics in there. There's a measured, and how what they're going to do it, how they're going to use it. They again, there is a quality assurance team that they're going to measure. They're going to again put into this in a paper, again document all those things. Then we have a prototyping. In software engineering, you know this prototyping concept very well. What is prototype? Come on. Now you think and answer. Not answer, I'll not able to hear your answer, but can you able to tell me what is prototype portal? Forget about prototyping in practice, this is actually prototyping practice topic, but what is prototype? Can you tell me about this? Okay, the prototype is can I say a prototype is a toy, is an example. A toy car, that is a prototype of your big car, your main car. So that means the model, it is a short model which looks like your actual model, and that is given to the customer to give the feedback. this is exactly you want, or this is something you need to change. So when customer goes through this model, customers if reply yes, gives nods head, you say okay, customer wants this, otherwise you need to change this. And you keep this prototype differently. You don't change your main code to this model code. Okay, so there are three ways of approaching. We have a throwaway prototype. Now here the prototype, the model which is built for the user convenience, is built and tested, right? So design knowledge is gained from this exercise to build up the final product, but actual prototype is discarded. In throwaway they are discarded, but some I think in evolutionary they are kept. Now, design knowledge, that means my design, the design ideas, the design thinking will be exercised from this final product, because I know from this model I'll get to know, okay, the user want this, so I'll start designing the actual product. Then incremental, how the incremental model works for. Final product is built as a separate components at a time. So at a time only one component is built, like button. So button components will be built. I mean, sorry, not built, but they will develop. First, I will develop the main login form in the first phase. Second phase, I will develop the books. Suppose it's online shopping, so first I will develop books, toys, clothes, fabrics, and kitchenwares and everything. In the third phase, I will develop like stationery materials, your car accessories, and so on. So for every page, every form, I will have certain applications, but one at a time. Then the overall design of the final system, that is partitioned into independent and smaller components. So first page will come this, my login. Second is my for the kids section. Third is for my women's. Fourth is for men's. Fifth for the kitchenwares. I have separated the components, and they are independent and they will require time to build. Then next I have evolutionary prototype. So the actual system that is seen as evolving from a very limited initial version to its final release. Yes, the evolutionary prototype, what they will do is I will have from actual, from not actual, but from initial. What was my initial? Different types of forms. Okay, one form, second form, third form. And in the final release, that entire system is built. Correct. So what happened that all it was cluttered together. My all login form, kids section, women's section, men's section, kitchen accessories, car accessories, stationery, all they were piling up. Later in the final product, what I did a I divided those sections. I created the final product. So evolutionary prototyping fits well in with the modification. So every time the modification is needed, even though there is a change in the market, the customer or the user is expect to change the requirements. Again, the change we have to we have to cope up with those change. And uh, evolutionary is I think one of the best practice, but let us see what the problem they faces. We face with the time, of course. See, every software engineering activity faces with the time. I mean, they face with the time is like deadline. Always remember, like we try to, as a engineers or software designers, to intend to cope up with the deadline. But since if there is a change again and again, they're going to fall beyond the deadlines, because the deadline doesn't specify if there is change. Okay, you take your time. No, within that deadline, you need to work. So if there is a scarcity of resource, if there is a scarcity of people, the management will take care of this. Then we have a planning. Okay, the planning, that means again my requirements. What my requirements, how my requirements are changing. How do my because since the market trends, the market survey, the trends are keep on changing. Nowadays the trends are becoming so technique, what should I say, trends are, or the fashions or the kids section, they are growing so fast. The user needs are growing so rapidly nowadays, that there is no possible, there must be a change. But not possible, I'll not use the word possible, there must be a change. So this change will come occur into my planning. So that means ultimately my requirements will get affected. And if my requirements is get affected, so entire phase will change, entire activity has to be changed. Then non-functional features. So this non-functional feature will keep me every time. I don't want this. I want reliable. I want security. I want safety. If these are my non-functional feature, I want to accommodate. Later, I realize I forgot to inform the designer. Late night, I have messaged the designer. I want this feature to be included. Look, everything is changed. Now include this non-functional feature. Then the contracts. I have signed this contract with the software designer team, but now they have crossed the deadline. So what? Renew the contract again? Do you wish to? Yes. Now techniques of prototyping. Now we have seen the prototyping in practice, right? Now which way to use? Evolutionary to use, interactive to use, which one? So again, now the storyboards. Storyboards tells about you the scenario, how the scenario gives you the vision, what to do, how to do, when to do, everything. Then next is your higher level programming support. That means your programming concept, your tool in which you're going to build up the software. Okay, so here we finish with the software process. Up till now, I hope you understood, because this was your how you design your system, or what constraints should you do when you design your system. So we have taken this from the software engineering part, because they have to go through the same activity what the software product has to go through. So in this way, I conclude my